If you're just starting the series now, here's what's happened. We bought a 210,000 mile E36 M3, we immediately gutted it. Drove 8 hours up to work with Formula D Pro Farouk on this car. We ran some tests, tore apart some of the suspension, and now we're here.
All right, so day 2.
Yep. Good morning.
What kind of happened on day 1?
Inspection of the car, so we made sure that the car was healthy.
Yeah.
Compression looks good. Leak down's pretty good. I think when it warms up, that leak down's going to really clean up.
Yeah, the one on cylinder 4?
Yep. Cylinder 4 was down to 40, but it's a cold motor, which is pretty darn good for a cold motor that has 200,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So when it warms up, I'm confident that it's going to be within spec. You know, typical BMW stuff. A lot of leaks, just fixing
Valve covers.
Yeah.
Everything, every time.
Yeah. They started working on the oil pump, so the upgraded oil pump is going in. All suspension's ripped out, getting cleaned up. So pretty much we're just like learning the canvas that we're dealing with, and then from there we can fix the problems just to make sure that you're not going to go on the track first day out, something happens. You know what I mean? That way we know at least what we're dealing with when we take it to the track.
I know that we've had a number of like little things come up as far as shipping. What things are we missing, or what things that we know for sure is coming?
All the lines are coming. The dual rear caliper setup is coming. The e-brake itself is not coming.
So with all the timelines and everything, we're missing the hydro, which is, you know, kind of an essential part of the drift car. We're missing the power steering, and this car has no power steering. Like you guys saw when we were actually doing that there's literally no power steering fluid in there. So where are we at on seats? So
seats, yep.
We were like kind of discussing some options, and
right now we've had a little bit of trouble sourcing them.
Okay.
So there's a shop at the racetrack called Wine Country Motorsports. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fit you to a seat today.
As far as seats go, we were originally gonna go with Momo seats, but the timelines, the shipping costs and everything, so they do have a shop here that we can actually go pick up some seats, sit in them and feel them out, see which one I actually like, which is cool. I mean, I think when you're purchasing a seat, you definitely want to sit in it and make sure it fits you. It's, you know, and you like it.
I got a quick call at 9, and then let's go down there about 10.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Awesome.
Josh is working on the bushings along with welding in some of the initial reinforcements.
We are facing some issues though with how to mount the seat belts in, since basically right now we were planning on going with like a full Welding cage. But with timelines and everything, and you know, me and Ryan are essentially 8 hours from where we live, so we're trying to get this all done in a week, which is a really small time frame for everything. So the cage wasn't going to be able to fit in that time frame. We were going to need an additional week to actually make that Welding cage. That wasn't necessarily an issue, did not have it caged, but now when we're talking about like putting in seat belts and like all that, you know, you have no place to mount the seat belts because you don't have the cage.
Josh had a harness bar from his E36, but the worry was it was for a coupe.
Because it's sedan, like the actual like B pillars line up with almost like the seat, like it'd almost be like in front of your face. So right now it's kind of the solution of trying to figure out how to mount the seat belts in here without having that, you know, that full cage.
So yeah, the only difference between these two seats is the distance between the two halos.
Gotcha.
So that's the standard. The 400 is going to be narrower. You can actually see this one's got more padding.
Yeah.
And this one, the fiberglass, is more up close, and there's less padding.
Gotcha.
So your helmet has less room to bounce if you're in an incident.
These higher bolsters.
Yeah.
I think they.
What about? Sorry, finish what you're saying.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
That's pretty much the difference.
I mean, what about like material alone? Because obviously this has got like almost like a vented, like a breathable, like.
It's more like a vented, kind of a athletic style fabric on that, where the Sparcos are going to be more of a
like
kind
a
of
suede
a,
almost?
It's kind of and not even a suede. It's more of a velvet kind of.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to breathe. They're gonna typically, the seat will outlive its expiration date. Unless you're spending a lot of seat time in the car. The most important thing is that we get you in something that you feel comfortable in. Yeah. And then right after that, we want to make sure that you're at a safe height pass-through wise.
They don't feel that really that different.
Yeah, they're comparable seats.
Yeah, at least from my limited knowledge, you know.
Compare, you can just pick them up and feel the weight difference.
Between that and which one?
Between these two seats.
Yeah.
You guys have a non-bolstered Spark that doing stuff?
Oh.
Protein Top,
Wow.
Evos,
Yeah.
Evo XLs.
I mean, it's like, that's almost like what?
Yeah, they're about night and day. They're really different.
Yeah, that's a pretty hefty difference.
So I was really looking at two pretty similar seats here, the HTE R400 and the Sparco QRT circuits. Now, both these seats felt really similar to sit in. I noticed some subtle things. I felt like I fit the Sparco a little bit better. And on top of that, I just like the design better on the Sparcos versus the OMPs.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
As our menu has changed. For wholesale, press 1.
Looking to get a set of wheels for my E36 M3. I wanted to get 17.930, but I wanted to see, I'm here at SGK Performance in Sonoma Raceway. I wanted to see if it was possible to get a set shipped out, able to be here before the end of the week.
Our last shipment of the day does go out at 3 o'clock, so we did miss the window for today, but if you place the order on the website.
I purchased a set of Apex wheels. I called them up. The only color they had in the size that actually worked for this car was satin black. Now, I didn't want satin black on this car. I wanted something maybe silver, but I think satin black, you know, looked pretty cool. And in the end, we can always powder coat another color. I'd rather get a set of wheels on here and actually be able to drive this thing than no wheels at all. So got a set of those Arc 8s. As far as tire sizes, we went with a 245 4017 square setup all around.
The day moves on, we're continuing to weld in some of the reinforcement pieces and press in the bushings. Josh has finished up the new oil pump, so that's one more thing off the list. A huge part of doing this whole project and getting this car running right was the bushings. Now, I know it's not a flashy or glamorous part of this whole build, but it's really necessary to get this car to actually drive right, and I'm just honestly super excited to actually drive this car with not half the suspension shaking in place. On to day 3. With the entire underside of the car removed, Brandon's onto the last stage before welding in the reinforcements.
On the side of just getting parts here, with everything going on in the world right now and just timelines and everything, we're still missing a bunch of stuff. So there's still stuff that's like waiting to get here or we just don't have yet. And so it's kind of up in the air what we're actually going to be able to do. We're going to have to kind of figure out solutions at this point of just kind of how to get around those and move forward. And I don't know right now. We don't really know. So, let's see.
Finishing up prepping, me and Farouk were talking about some of the options for the handbrake. Now, the original handbrake we were going to go with wasn't in stock, and so we had to come up with a different option. With this handbrake option, it basically switched the location of the master cylinder. For a gutted car, it didn't really make a difference, and really just comes down to personal preference.
Is above it? Very, very similar.
Yeah.
You almost don't notice.
Yeah.
But when you pull that now, watch, imagine you're pulling that way, the rod would push that way, and this mount would be in front of you. So let me show you kind of 2 examples that they have. So here, people would mount it like that, and it tucks underneath the dash.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And let's look at a different version. The nice thing about the Chase Bays.
As you try to break it.
Yeah, right? As I try to break it, the nice thing about the Chase Bays e-brake mount is that it comes with a plate that fits directly underneath it. So we can mount this to the right, and they sell a bunch of these. And let's say you drive it for a month or 2, and you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we want to move it closer. Then we can get another one of these and just mount it there, cut the other one off, and then be done with it.
Finally, we're welding.
All right, so right now we got him sitting in the trunk. We got the other guy welding, and hoping nothing catches on fire.
Yeah, we have to figure out what's wrong with the OEM power steering, because the J-Space kit, the nice thing is that it replaces everything. So it doesn't actually matter what's wrong with the power steering.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But now when we try to, now I just ask Seth to ask the boys, hey, can you take a look at the power steering? Tell me which.
Going into midday, things were starting to fall apart. Packages weren't coming by the end of the week, and just certain items were lost in the mail. So at this point, I'm not really sure if we're gonna hit the deadline. It's really just up in the air. Tune in next week to see this thing continue to transform.